Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Kane. Not only is Kane blind, but apparently he also has some very severe teeth issues, and I'm feeling really bad for Kane because I feel like he's the most gimp character out of them all, and now we have a special team daily where we're showcasing his teeth issues. That's just not fair. But this is of course yet another special daily, and we're starting with all teeth related items. I'm not really sure why teeth related items, maybe it's like National Brush Your Teeth Day or something like that, so brush your teeth, don't forget to do that. But our active item is Monstrous Tooth. I was never really sure why is it Monstrous Tooth. Why do we use Monstrous Tooth to summon Monstro to stomp down on enemies? Why couldn't it be some other organ or maybe some other part of his body? I'm not really sure. If you know the answer to that, I would like to know because I'm generally curious. But Monstrous Tooth, it does summon Monstro on a random enemy in the room, it deals some damage to them, but there's also a fact or maybe something that not a lot of people know about it. And when he actually comes down, not only does he deal damage to enemies, but what he also does is deal explosive damage in an area around that position. So if you're really good, what you can do is enter a room, kind of deduct it, and kill every enemy but one, so you know on which enemy Monstro will land, wait for that enemy to get near maybe a wall or maybe near a Tinted Rock, drop Monstro, and then that secret room will unveil, or maybe you'll get the Spirit Hearts out of the Tinted Rock. And if you can pull that off, that's great. It's probably the best use of the item you can get. But even if there are no enemies in the room, if you use the active item, Monstro is gonna come down. But because he has no other targets, he's gonna jump on you, which means he's gonna deal damage to you unless you have some kind of shield or a way to protect yourself, or maybe Holy Mantle or something like that. He's gonna jump down on you, but also by doing that, he's also gonna deal explosive damage around you. So if you're in an empty room and you have no bombs maybe, and you're near a Tinted Rock and you really want to open that Tinted Rock, you can go near it, press the spacebar item, Monstro's gonna come down, it's gonna deal damage to you, but also gonna uncover that secret rock. That's mostly useful, like I said before, if you have any way to actually shield yourself, maybe via an Algiz rune, or maybe if there's a Book of Shadows, something like that, because otherwise, it's not really worth taking one heart of damage to usually just get a Spirit Heart back. I guess if you know that there's a Lucky Rock inside that Tinted Rock, then maybe it's worth it because it's one heart of damage for a pretty substantial DPS up, but otherwise I would never recommend doing that, at least not in dailies. Obviously in single player, if you have enough health, go bonkers and just keep dropping monster on your head to uncover every single rock if you want. But in dailies, the point penalty that you get by actually getting damaged is not worth the price or maybe the reward you're gonna get out of an average payout out of a Tinted Rock or maybe even a secret room when you do use that technique to actually find it. Besides that, we also start with Tough Love, and the other item was, I believe, Death Tooth. And first of all, Death Tooth is a new item, and from what I can tell, what it does is as long as you keep shooting, as long as you kind of keep remaining shooting, there's a green aura around you, and that green aura poisons enemies. I'm not really sure if this green aura does maybe more damage, maybe it scales with your damage, or maybe it has a chance for enemies to drop Spirit Hearts or Black Hearts or something like that. I didn't really notice anything too special with it. It's also very localized, so it's very small, so it's actually hard to poison enemies. Usually you don't really want to go for that, especially on this particular daily, because we did have quite a bit of range and obviously just a lot of damage. That poison doesn't really seem to be that useful, but I guess in bad runs it's okay because you do have a reliable way to poison enemies, as long as you're not really that scared to get close to them and deal some maybe contact damage that way. But other than that, I'm not really sure what this item does. Maybe it has some secondary effects which we haven't really discovered yet, or maybe it just localized and it does what I just said it does, and it's not really that special. And that's okay, a lot of items in Isaac aren't very special, but it does have this very unique particle effect to it, and you feel like it should do something more than what it actually does. But you know, only time will tell, and we'll obviously know maybe in like a few months from now when this game is really decompiled and people know what's going on, then maybe a hidden meaning will occur from that, but for the time being there's really nothing there. The other one, or maybe the final item, finally, was Tough Love. And Tough Love is an item that's a classic. It's been in the games ever since Wrath of the Lamb, I believe. And what it does, it gives you a chance, when you pick it up, based on your luck, that you shoot a tooth shot. And every tooth has, I think, 3.2 multiplier on your base damage. So let's say that you were dealing 10 damage with your tears, every tooth would then be doing 32 damage. And I think that luck, at least in Afterbirth Plus, caps off of 9. So that means if you have 9 luck, every single shot will be a 2 shot, so essentially at that point you're tripling your damage with just one item. And Tough Love is a great item, it's an amazing item. You don't really see it often, a lot of people maybe don't notice it that well because it's not really a shiny item. In my opinion, the tooth look really cool, and what I really like more about it is when the tooth actually breaks, it leaves particle or maybe debris in the floor. So you can see that now in boss rush, the whole floor is white because of our teeth breaking. And I think that's probably one of the nicest effects in the game, and it's really nice to see the carnage you've caused after you beat a room like boss rush. But besides that, it's one of the most, not underrated items, but probably unnoticed items. Whenever you see people talking about top lists, it's usually Brimstone because it's flashy, or maybe Epic Fetus because it has that explosive potential. But I would genuinely say, at least since lucky coins were introduced, because it's not that hard to get by luck anymore, the Tough Love is one of the best items you can pick up. It synergizes really well with a lot of other items which are also good, it synergizes with Brimstone, I believe. It also synergizes with Epic Fetus, I think. Obviously the chances for something like that triggering are much lower because it's every particular shot has a particular chance of it triggering, and a lot of other shots don't. How do I put this? What did I want to say? I want to say that if you're shooting fast, it's obviously much better because more teeth will gonna come out. But if you have something like Epic Fetus, your tear rate is very limited, which means that overall damage output won't be the same. But obviously, if you are lucky enough, every single shot will be doing triple amount of damage that a normal shot does. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I just said it kind of convolutedly in my previous sentence. But besides that, because this run also has like that hidden feature of starting out with 50 luck, which is just bonkers, it means that essentially as soon as we started, our damage was already tripled. And at that point I said, this is a one run. And I usually don't say that, especially not on the first floor, but obviously I think with Tough Love 50 luck, there's really nothing that can go wrong. Not only does Tough Love scale incredibly well with every damage up you get, because every damage up essentially becomes a triple damage up, having high luck means that you're going to be finding more consumables, you're going to be finding more luck. Essentially, you're going to be finding just a bunch more chests. On every single clear room, based on your luck, there's a chance that a chest will spawn, or maybe just a random consumable. And with 50 plus luck, or even less, but because we had 50 in this run, it was guaranteed that every time we killed a room, or finished a room, there was gonna be a payout at the end. And when that happens, obviously you just scale better, you get more lucky coins, you get more luck, you just get more items in general. And with consumables, it's always like that. You never really feel like they're important until they're missing. So in a run like this, where everyone just has a bunch of consumables, you don't really feel like they're very important. You're like saying, luck doesn't really help that much. It just gives me a few coins and maybe bombs or whatever. But you really do start to notice those consumables when there's a lack of them, or maybe if you're playing a run which doesn't have a bunch of keys, or maybe a bunch of bombs, and in that case it does turn out that you really do need consumables if you want to have a good time. What I really like about runs like this, which are just inherently strong, maybe they start you out strong, are not just the fact that everyone has just a lot of consumables. You can basically open every single chest, every single room, you can bomb every single wall, you can find every secret room. But because everyone can do that, because everyone is starting out on these base terms of just being really powerful, and everyone basically has the same chance to find powerful items, I think it makes it for a much more fair challenge, because at this point it's not really about finding ways to break the game or maybe being lucky in what you open. So let's say if you have a run where you maybe only have one key by the second floor, there's a decision. Should I open up this golden chest or should I open up a treasure room? And a lot of people would go for the treasure room, but let's say that you are sneaky, you're wicked, and you just go for that golden chest. And in that golden chest you'll find something like Goat's Head, and because of Goat's Head maybe you get a devil deal that someone else wouldn't get, and then you get Brimstone. And that's a very feasible, I would say, or at least it's a very likely common occurrence. I wouldn't say it's common, but it's a likely occurrence. It can happen, and it probably did happen at some point in the game. And when that happens, it's not really about skill, because obviously if you want to make a good decision, you would usually go for the treasure room, because on average it's going to have a much better payout. But in that case, luck is rewarded more than actual skill. But if you have a run where you just have a lot more consumables, where everyone is just much naturally stronger, that means that everyone has the same chance of finding all of these secrets and goat heads or whatever. But also when you actually come to the down of it, it's really more about dodging and how well you can manage your resources, and maybe how effective you are at finding secret rooms with the bombs you have, so you don't waste too many of them. And that in total, I think, makes it for a much more fair challenge. Also, this run did go to the Dark Room, which is the final room of the game, or maybe the final floor, which means that you're not gimped that way either, so it's not like someone might find a shovel and someone else might not, and based on that you're basically losing a lot of points because you didn't get lucky enough to find that shovel. And in this case, everything just kind of turned out well, and I think you can see that this run is just incredibly strong. We melted the lamp, and because everyone was playing on the same terms, I don't really even feel that bad for doing it. overall, we were still ranked pretty highly. Every time there's a strong run, even if I feel like I'm doing really well, I know that there's a lot of people who are just naturally better at the game than me, and to be ranked this highly is quite a surprise to me, because I usually don't rank this highly, or maybe I do rank this highly, but on good runs I don't think I rank this highly, but I don't really know. I didn't ever check the stats to confirm it. But we did rank in the 62nd. Our damage penalty was quite high for a run this strong, but whenever your damage penalty is high on a run that goes to the dark room, basically your damage penalty scales with exploration bonus, and the more exploration bonus you have, the higher the damage penalty will be. So even if you get hit only like 10 times, for example, so 10 full hearts of damage, or maybe 5 full hearts of damage, whatever, on a run that goes to the dark room, that damage penalty will be much higher than on a run that goes to just like Mom's Foot. But nevertheless, I am still satisfied with the score, and overall I would say that it was a very enjoyable daily, because this is one of those special dailies you can only have a chance to play it yesterday, so if you didn't play it, you kinda missed it. Even though I have the seeds in the description, you can't really use that to replay the daily again, and I hope you did, because it was quite a fun one. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I hope to see you next time.